All right, we got to read aloud coming to you from home, the home edition. Chapter 16 is called DJ. DJ skipped up 30 flights of stairs to Mrs. Jewls' room. He was grinning from ear to ear, from nose to chin, from here to there and back again. "Hey, DJ," Todd shouted. "Glad to see you." Todd was a pushover for smiling faces. Mrs. Jewls heard him, and she began to write Todd's name on the board under the word discipline, but when she saw DJ's smile, she put the chalk down. "Good morning, DJ. What are you so happy about?" DJ grinned and shrugged his shoulders. Mrs. Jewls smiled. Damien looked at the smile on Mrs. Jewls' face, then at Todd's, and finally at DJ's. Then Damien smiled, too. His smile was almost as big as DJ's. They were best friends. Once they saw the two of them smiling, the rest of the class couldn't help but smile. Rhonda had a very cute one due to her 2 missing front teeth. Nobody had an ugly smile. Jason came late to school. He was very upset, but the first thing he saw was Damien's smile, and he felt a little bit better. Then he saw Rhonda's toothless grin, and he even began to smile a little himself. But when he saw the piano on DJ's face, he fell laughing to the floor. Piano being his big mouth, big smile. Everybody started to laugh, even Kathy, and she hardly ever laughed except when someone hurt himself. The whole room seemed to be laughing, not just the people in it. The blackboard chuckled, the ceiling snickered, the desks were jumping up and down, and the chairs were slapping one another on the back. The floor was very ticklish. It laughed until the walls turned purple. The wastepaper basket began to sing, and all the pencils stood up and danced. Finally, things settled down, and Mrs. Jewls wiped her eyes and said, "DJ, why don't you tell the class why you were so happy? At least let us know what we're all laughing about." But DJ just kept on smiling. Why is he so happy? "Oh, come on, DJ," said Dee Dee. "Tell us." DJ didn't say a word. He couldn't. His mouth was stretched out of shape. "Let me guess. If we guess right, will you tell us?" asked Ron. DJ nodded his head. His smile began to hurt his ears. Everyone took a guess. "Have you been swimming? Is it your birthday? Are you in love? Did you get the green ball?" Nobody guessed right. At recess, DJ was still smiling. Louis, the yard teacher, called, "Hey, DJ, come here." They walked to the far corner of the playground where they were alone. "What's up, DJ?" Louis asked. DJ just smiled. "Come on, DJ, you can tell me. Why are you so happy?" DJ looked up at him. He said, "You need a reason to be sad. You don't need a reason to be happy." That's true, right? You can just be happy. I like that. I'm usually pretty happy. Are you? Since that was a short chapter, we're going to also do John. Well, that looks interesting. John had light brown hair and a round head. He was Joe's best friend. John was one of the smartest boys in Mrs. Jewls' class, but he had one problem. He could only read words written upside down. But it was only a little problem. John was still in the high reading group. He just turned his book upside down. It was easier for John to turn his book upside down than to read it correctly, but the easiest way isn't always the best way. Mrs. Jewls said, "John, you can't go on reading like this. You can't spend the rest of your life turning your books upside down." "Why not?" asked John. "Because I said so," said Mrs. Jewls. "Besides, what happens when I write something on the blackboard? You can't turn the blackboard upside down." "No, I guess you're right," said John. "I know I'm right," said Mrs. Jewls. "You're going to have to learn to stand on your head." John couldn't stand on his head. He had given up trying. He would have too if you had fallen over as many times as he had. Joe was John's best friend. He could stand on John's head. Every time John fell over, Joe stood on his head. After all, what are best friends for? "My head is too round, Mrs. Jewls. I can't stand on it." "Of course you can, John. If Joe can stand on your head, so can you." "It's easy, John," said Joe. "I can't," John said. "I always fall over." "Nonsense. All you have to do is find your center of balance. Now up you go." John put his round head on the floor and swung his legs up. He fell right over. "See, John? Nothing to it," Joe said, as Joe stood on his head. "We'll help you, John. Joe, get off John's head and give me a pillow from under my desk. Nancy, Calvin, come here and give us a hand." Mrs. Jewls took the pillow from Joe and set it on the floor. All right, John, we'll surround you. We won't let you fall. John put his head on the pillow and swung his legs up. He started to fall one way, but Nancy pushed him back up. Then he started to fall another way, but Calvin straightened him out. John kept falling a little bit this way and that until at last he found his center of balance. Now what's crazy is the words are upside down, so I'm going to have to turn my book upside down because I can't read upside down. Hey, look at me! Look at me, John said. I'm up. I'm really up. I'm standing on my head. I found my center of balance. It's beautiful. I can read the blackboard. Hey, Calvin, bring me a book. You don't have to turn it upside down. Ha ha ha. Hey, whoa! Bam! While Calvin went to get the book, John fell flat on his face. You better stay off my head, Joe, he warned. Are you all right, John? Yes, I think so. I feel a little funny. Hey, I can still read the blackboard, and I'm not upside down. I can read right side up now. When I fell, I must have flipped my brain or something. That is wonderful, John, said Mrs. Jewls. Here, put the pillow back under my desk. As a reward, you may have a Tootsie Roll Pop. There in the coffee can on top of my desk. John placed the pillow on top of her desk. Then he looked under the desk, but he couldn't find the Tootsie Roll Pops anywhere. So now he can read right side up, but he's got his directions all wrong. Oh, John.